Welcome, you're watching Vox News, your daily evening news with Rita Nefe. Residents of a poor neighborhood in Abidjan destroyed a COVID-19 testing center under construction. In videos posted on social media, dozens of people were destroying the building. Some of them shouted, "We don't want it." The violent incident occurred in Yopougon district, which is the country's commercial capital. Locals expressed their discontent concerning the center because it was too close to their homes and right in the middle of a residential district. But according to a health ministry official, the building, which was still being built, had never been intended as a treatment center for coronavirus patients, only as a testing center. The incident was the first of its kind since the coronavirus outbreak in the country, which seems to have been relatively spared by the virus. At least according to official figures, adding up the number of cases to 261, with 3 deaths so far. Last Tuesday, the government announced a $2.8 billion plan to mitigate the economic and social effects of the pandemic. In Abidjan, despite measures taken by authorities to treat the outbreak so far, however, the government has not ordered a full lockdown. In Ethiopia, authorities reported the first 2 deaths of patients suffering from coronavirus on Sunday. Meanwhile, health officials are accelerating testing to get a clearer vision of the pandemic there and learning how to use the necessary equipment such as mechanical ventilators. The first victim was a 60-year-old Ethiopian woman who had spent 6 days in intensive care. The second was a 56-year-old Ethiopian man who had been diagnosed with COVID-19 last Thursday. Ethiopia, a country of over 100 million people, confirmed its first case of coronavirus on March 13 and has recorded only 43 cases in total, according to official figures. However, testing has been minimal and some doctors are expecting the worst. As of Friday, the country had conducted just over 1,000 tests. However, on Saturday, Ethiopian officials vowed to conduct an additional 647 tests, notably on targeted health workers, transportation sector workers who have direct contact with passengers, and randomly selected people in Addis Ababa, the capital, and the city of Adama. In Benin, former president and primary opponent Yayi Boni has decided to leave his party, the Kori Forces for an Emerging Benin. In a note addressed to FCBE activists, the man who ruled the country for 10 years denounces the continuation of a process of exclusion through personal reforms, including the charter of political parties. He refers to the new obligations that must be met by the Beninese political parties as part of a reform initiated by the head of state. Yayi Boni asserts that this charter leads Benin inexorably to a single party in the pay of President Patrice Talon, whom he accuses of wanting to dismantle the FCBE with the complicity of some activists. Yayi Boni's decision to leave his party comes within a few weeks of the municipal elections scheduled for the 17th of May, for which the National Independent Electoral Commission has validated 5 party lists. Boni Yayi, who could not manage the preparation of the FCBE lists, still accuses and believes that candidates who do not share the same vision as the one in power were excluded. For him, the power in place is responsible for the situation, and he primarily blames the illegitimate militants of the FCBE. As the elections approach, the former president warned that using his name or image will result in legal proceedings. In South Sudan, authorities have reported the first case of coronavirus on Sunday.
South Sudan confirms 1 case of coronavirus, COVID-19. On behalf of the President and the Chairman of the High-Level Task Force, I would like to inform the public that on Saturday, 4th April 2020, the Public Health Laboratory tested and confirmed a case of COVID-19 in an individual. The patient is a 20-year-old female who arrived in the country from Netherlands via Addis Ababa on the 28th February 2020. She has no history of underlying or pre-existing illness. She's currently in isolation.
The authorities have decided to close the bars and shopping areas to limit the spread of the virus. They also decided to close the borders as well as the international airport. A curfew is in effect from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. South Sudan, which is torn apart by a civil war since 2013, is ill-equipped to deal with the pandemic. The conflict, marked by atrocities including murder and rape, has caused more than 380,000 deaths in 6 years and a humanitarian crisis. In Senegal, President Macky Sall has extended the state of emergency by another 30 days. It was first decreed by the head of state on March 23rd and was due to end at midnight on April 4th. However, a new decree has extended the state of emergency and the nighttime curfew until the 2nd of May. The authorities have already banned mass gatherings and prayers, traffic between cities, and suspended almost all air traffic. So far, Senegal has not gone on full lockdown. It will be a challenge in this country where a large part of the population lives from day to day. Since the 2nd of March, when officials reported the first case of coronavirus, the Senegalese authorities have officially reported 219 cases of COVID-19 and 2 deaths. In Malawi, in response to the coronavirus pandemic, President Peter Mutharika announced on Saturday evening that he was lowering his salary and that of his ministers to release funds to fund the fight against COVID-19. During a televised address, President Mutharika declared,
I asked the Treasury to reduce the salary of the President, the ministers and the deputy ministers of the government by 10% for 3 months and to use those resources against coronavirus.
The head of state also announced the opening of new screening centers for COVID-19, a fall in fuel prices to facilitate travel to these centers, and the recruitment by the Ministry of Health of 2,000 additional agents. The objective, according to the president, is to mobilize more soldiers and human resources for this fight. Peter Mutharika also promised to do everything to protect jobs, incomes and businesses and to ensure the survival of the economy. On the 23rd of March, the head of state declared a state of emergency and ordered the closure of schools until further notice to stem the epidemic. Malawi is one of the African countries affected by coronavirus, with 4 cases officially reported. In Tunisia, Parliament decided on Saturday to extend the Prime Minister's powers exceptionally for 2 months. The head of government will now be able to enact decrees, laws and ordinances to fight the coronavirus pandemic. The Assembly of People's Representatives approved by 178 votes to 17, with 2 abstentions, a bill that delegates new power to Prime Minister Elias Fakfa. The majority of MPs voted by video conference. The head of government has indicated that he will use his new prerogatives to limit the negative impact of the pandemic on the lives of his fellow citizens. In response to the fear expressed by opponents, he also stated that Parliament retains the ability to withdraw its new powers in the event of abuse. The COVID-19 has, for the moment, officially killed 19 people and contaminated more than 550 people in the country. Finally, in Burundi, the Football Federation held a General Assembly on Sunday in Bujumbura, after which they decided to continue their first and second division championships. The assembly was to decide whether or not to proceed with the season, given the sanitary crisis. The season in the East African country has only 3 rounds left to play. Health Minister Tadindi Kumana recommended the continuation of the championship by putting in place preventive measures such as washing hands and taking the temperature of spectators before they enter the stadiums. Burundi is one of only 4 countries such as Tajikistan or Belarus where regular league football continues after a global sports shutdown due to the coronavirus pandemic. That's it for today. Thank you for watching Vox News.